welcome to the Party Center Speaks podcast. This is the podcast for family entertainment center and event venue owners, operators, managers, and staffers looking to grow their business. Want to learn more about how you can increase party bookings, improve facility operations, and other topics? This is the podcast for you. My name is Laura Canellas, and I'm the marketing manager here at Party Center Software. In this episode, we're going to share audio from our webinar on emergency planning. We hope you enjoyed this presentation. As you all know, we are talking all about emergency planning today with our CSMs Eileen and Danielle. We're also going to discuss how to handle tech, facility stuff, customer issues, and all that good stuff. So we're very excited to do this webinar with you today. And before we get started, thank you so much for joining us. I know that there's a lot of different places where you could be right now. For some facilities, it's a busy time. So we appreciate you taking the time to be with us today. We're really grateful for that. If you're new here, this is your first PCS webinar, we're Party Center Software, and we are powered by our payment processor, Party Center Pay. And we're all about helping you stop chasing and start booking more parties. So we have a lot of different tools and offerings that help you automate your party booking and grow your business. So some of those offerings include a point of sale, digital waivers, online party booking, of course, event management, reporting, and so much more. I'm also excited to sort of announce that we're about to release a new offering, the PCS Marketing Suite. So if you also need help with website design, a website customization, marketing tools, so email automation and social media automation tools, we're about to release a really, really great product that we're super excited about. So stay tuned, and if you have any questions, just pop something in the chat and one of our reps will get back to you. So the industries or the different facilities that we serve are soft play, arcades, trampoline parks, you name it, we've probably worked with them before. We're all about creating a diverse community here that uses PCS, so we would be happy to serve you if you're interested. But we're more than just a software, we're also business builders, so we're really focused on producing great content and releasing that in our resource library, so you have access to business growth tips and marketing advice specific to FECs and other such tools and resources that can help you grow your business. So if you head over to partycentersoftware.com and go over to the resources tab, you can access all our ebooks and webinars just like this one. We were also able to launch the PCS Academy late last year. So this is an online learning academy where you can get all our webinars, ebooks, and such for free. It doesn't cost you anything. You just make an account, sign up, and you have all these great resources at your disposal. Now, if you're a customer, it gets even sweeter. The deal is even sweeter because you also have access to our software training portal. So our support team created a wealth of videos. They're really, really good on different features in our software and how to just maximize your abilities in Party Center Software and maximize its use for your business. So definitely sign up here. It's totally free. And if you're a customer, you get this additional portal. So if you'd like to sign up, there is the link below, and you also have the QR code up on the screen. I'll leave it up for a second so you can go ahead and scan your phone. Scan your phone, guys. All right, so I'm going to head over to our introductions today. Going to do it in reverse because we have our fabulous CSMs that I want to give them a little bit more time to introduce themselves at the end. So we're marketing. Hi, I'm Laura. I'm the marketing manager here. If we haven't met yet, we also have the fabulous Araceli. She's our sales, marketing, and social media assistant. And Rebecca, she's the woman of many hats: sales, marketing, customer success, business building, everything, all in one person. So that's us. Then we have our success consultants, Megan, Courtney. They will help you with business consulting, facility planning, any sort of software advice that you're looking for. They are your team. Then we also have our customer success last but not least, our customer success team. Fumbled a little bit there, sorry. We have Eileen and Danielle. They are our FEC experts, and they both ran facilities in the past. So you're hearing it from the people that were in the trenches, just like you, that know pretty much everything there's to know about facility advice, planning, marketing tips, and how to do all that. So I would love to give both Eileen and Danielle a chance to introduce themselves. Let's start with Eileen. We took a couple photos from when Eileen was managing her facilities. So Eileen, tell us first of all, how did you even get into the industry? Because I know that you weren't born into it, right? It kind of found you. So tell us a little
Yeah,
bit about.
yeah, absolutely. It did find me. I was in radio sales and TV sales. And then my husband's friend said, "Hey, I'm going to open this 55,000 square foot facility in an old Kroger. What do you think?" And said, we're going to build the brand from the scratch up. We're going to go to IAPA. We're going to go to the trade show. We're going to do all these. So it was like, oh my gosh, how much fun is this going to be? Of course, I didn't realize it was going to be 100 hours a week, but that's just par for the course. but it was a lot of fun because I did everything. I mean, we went on TV and promoted and had the chef there, and we did, some gift certificates free, and had my street team and all my bartenders, and we dressed up for the holidays. As you can see, it's one of my guys there in the middle there. Of course, we forgot our outfits, so we just went and got something that was in the closet, because we always had something in the closet. But it's such a fun industry, and that's what kept me in it for. I'd probably still be at the same facility if they hadn't sold it. But I was there 7 years, and we opened two, one in Nashville and we had one in Louisville, but they sold it, and then I think they closed eventually. But it's a great industry, so a lot of fun.
That's awesome. And what were some of the attractions that you had there?
Oh, we had Euro Bungee. We had 18 lanes of bowling. We had a full service restaurant that had 350 seats with a chef. We had 7 party rooms, and we had probably 100 video arcade games. We had bumper cars, and we had a huge play structure in the middle that was like a big maze. And then we had inflatables also. So we had a little bit for everyone. Oh, and this will tell you how old, because it was back 2007, 2008. We had several Xbox and Wii lounges, which was quite popular at the time. Because a lot of people, because they would come and they'd all gather around in our little lounges and have their food and make a big mess instead of in their room. So the moms loved it. But yeah,
That's
it
genius.
was. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and we did a lot of corporate parties, 350 person party. We did breakfast with Santa. We had, yeah, just tons of fun.
That's awesome, Eileen. And last question for you. So what was your favorite part of running a facility and being a manager?
Well, definitely my employees. I loved my employees. I loved them, to watch them come at 16 years old and grow and go off to college. I loved that. But I think overall, it was watching families create memories, and when my office was up front by the door, so when I would hear a child crying, leaving, I would be going, "Oh, there's another satisfied customer," saying, because they don't want to leave. So that was the best for sure.
That's awesome. Well, I'm so happy that we were able to just put a spotlight on your experience because it was definitely one of a kind. Danielle, how did you end up in the industry?
Oh man. So I was pretty young. I think I was like 19 or 20, and I got thrown into managing a cleaning business, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I got to get out of here. This is not for me." It was just a super negative industry, and it just wasn't for me. So I was on Craigslist, and I found a job opening at a trampoline park, and I'm like, "What is this?" So I applied, I got hired, and I remember it was my first day. It was on a Saturday, and there's kids just running around everywhere crazy. The like a party host have cake knives, and they're walking around with gloves. And I'm just like, I'm not coming back tomorrow. This is crazy. Well, I gave it a second chance, and I ended up coming back the next day, and I fell in love with it. I was like, you know what? I love the people here. Everybody's coming. They're in a good mood. There's nobody upset with anything. It was just very positive, and you get used to the crazy chaos.
Good stuff. And tell us a little bit about the facility that you ran. Like, what were some of the packages, party packages, and attractions that you guys had available?
Yeah, so I actually have ran two. So I was at a trampoline park for a while, and at the trampoline park we had obviously trampolines, but dodgeball, dunk ball. We had what we called walking sticks, was kind of you harness in, you go up, and you kind of parasail down. We had a mechanical bull and we had an airbag, which was tons of fun. At that facility, we had about 3 party rooms and we had about 15 party tables. So we'd do anywhere between 30 to 35 parties on a Saturday. It was absolute crazy. It was like in and out. And then I switched gears and I went over to the soft play industry. And I mean, I'm going to tell you, I was dressed up like Elsa almost every weekend. I had to be Elsa or I had to be a Disney princess or something. We offered, princesses. We did these beautiful balloon arches. It was just a lot more intricate, a lot more detailed as far as the parties that we offered. I mean, it was definitely creating more of an experience since it was, smaller kids. I mean, we played games with the kids. We did what we called a noise parade. And it was always crazy. And like Eileen said, when you heard the kids crying because they didn't want to leave, I heard it more there because it was young kids. They're like, I'm not ready. So, but at that place, we had, slides, trampolines. We had like obstacle courses in there. We had a ball pit. We did arts and crafts with the kids. It was more hands-on. It was more personal there. So.
That's really sweet. And what was your favorite part about being a manager and running this facility?
I don't want to piggyback off Eileen, but the staff was my favorite part because I was their age, and when I first got into it, they were a little bit younger than me, but we bonded, and I always liked that I could be the manager to help motivate them to do something. Because I remember growing up, I was 16, and I remember what I was like to manage. Oh my. And I was like, I don't want to be like those managers that I had. And, it was really cool just to see where they're at now. I mean, I've had a lot of them reach back out and say, hey, can you write me a recommendation letter to college? This is what I want to do. Or, hey, do you think you can be a reference for me for, my big time job? And absolutely. So, I mean, it was always the staff, just their interactions and coming in and helping them be a better person and grow those life skills. I love the coaching and the training aspect of it. So.
That is awesome. And we'll be talking a lot about the importance of, training your staff, especially to handle emergencies as we continue with the webinar. But thank you both for sharing. That was really awesome. And we're so happy to have you both on the team because your expertise helps create ebooks, helps us serve our customers better. So it's all exciting stuff. So let's get into just emergency planning. Eileen, let's start with you. Why is it so important? And what are some of the common emergencies that you experience as an owner? And what did you do about those emergencies when you were faced with them?
Yeah. Well, I mean, emergencies always happen. So, I mean, so you have to be ready. I mean, you got to plan, they're going to happen. So the calmer you can stay, then the calmer your employees stay, the calmer the parents and everyone around you stay. So you just have to have that plan, have your emergency kit, and each emergency could be a little bit different. I mean, one example of one that happened to me when it was on a Saturday, and of course Saturdays are always the busiest party day. We had a power outage. Somebody had hit the breaker by our facility, and so we had like probably 5 parties already started that morning, and it was like, okay, are we going to lose these parties? Are we going to stay calm and we're going to roll with it? So that's exactly what we did. The lights were not all on, but we ended up taking all of I had all of my party hosts come, and we went right to the front where there was like a big foyer and it had tons of light. And we did old school games. I mean, for the first hour of the party, instead of them playing in the attractions, we played Duck Duck Goose. We played all these really cool old school games that you wouldn't think anybody would want to play, and they loved them. And because my team was so awesome and so hands-on with them, they didn't even ask for money back. So, so it was, and the reason they knew that they could do this is because we did these things all the time. So it wasn't like out of character. They knew they had it. They knew the games because we practiced them. We had a plan, and of course also, I mean, when you have a Wi-Fi outage, I mean, you need your hotspot, so, there's, I mean, now gas leaks, I never did have a gas leak, but I could imagine that is gonna, there's got to be a big plan for that too. You got to get everybody out of the building and so on. But I know Danielle, you had, if I remember correctly, you had to get everybody out of your building for something similar. So I'll let you go ahead and chime in too.
Yeah, definitely. So we had something blow. I don't know. It was part of the breaker, but I think the kitchen got overloaded with all the outlets, and we saw like a small flame up at the top. And we know, okay, the power's off, but not all the power's off, right? So the first thing we got to do is, the employee just didn't think about it. They saw a flame, didn't come to me. They went to the breaker box, shut off the master breaker box. They came to me. There's a flame. This is what's happened. And then we, quickly executed the building or evacuated the building. And it was very calm. Nobody was panicked. And then they just simply hey, call the fire department, call, whoever we need to get out here, 911. Let's just have them look at it. They can mess with the breakers, but let's have these free passes ready. So that way we can just pass them out to the customers that came in. And yeah, maybe they just got there. Maybe they had already enjoyed their hour. It doesn't matter. Just give them one. So that way, their time got affected. They can come back and they can have a good time and just apologize. So, but just staying calm in that situation, I think helps a lot, kind of like what Eileen was saying. So.
Absolutely. And Eileen, going back to the old school games that you mentioned, that's a brilliant idea. And you mentioned while we were planning for this webinar that was actually part of your hiring process, right? Like you would look for people that knew how to play some of these games just in case they had to entertain the kids.
Absolutely. Yeah. Part of my hiring process was when I was interviewing them. Of course, we did like, where we had a whole bunch of interviews, bunch of people. But if somebody walked in off the street and wanted to interview, I was always hiring because, then you can pull weeds on the ones that are not working out. But this one girl, she came in and I thought, oh my gosh, she's going to be perfect. Well, so I always do this little test with them to see if they'll even, come out of their shell. So we're like right in the front of the foyer, and I'm like, okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to get on our horse and we're going to ride all the way across. So who's going to get on the horse and ride with me? Well, some of them didn't do it, obviously. So I get on and I'm like on my pretend horse and I'm like getting ready to ride. Well, this young lady, I'm telling you, she gets ready to get on and she's like cinching up her straps and I mean, it was just hilarious. I mean, she was perfect. And so she beat me to the other side, obviously. And she was one of my best. I mean, because she was not shy. I mean, there's room for people that have really good, different skills. You just got to put different people in different areas. But, somebody that outgoing has to be your party host. And then I had one gentleman that I can remember, Spencer. I got his name, you know what I'm saying? He was not necessarily a 100% rule follower. He didn't wear his hair the way one of the managers wanted him to wear it. So every weekend I had to continually fight to keep his job because he was phenomenal. So he was so personable with the moms that when I was doing my parties and signing host, I always assigned him to the moms that I thought might be a little difficult because he was so cute and he was so personable that I knew the party was going to go well. And you always want the party to go well, and especially even if you're going to have some kind of incident or emergency or whatever, you want somebody that can actually control it and keep people calm and happy.
Absolutely. So when an emergency occurs, what are some of the first things that an FEC owner or manager on site or party host, really anyone that's there, do? So I remember you all mentioning checking the attractions, checking the inflatables. What are some of the other touch points that they should keep in mind? Danielle, you can go ahead and take this one.
Yeah, no problem. So I think having a contact list is a big one. So whether that's, the Wi-Fi's out, who do I need to contact? Who's my Wi-Fi provider? Or, there's a roof leak. Where's the plan? Where's the map of the building? Where am I Xing out where these roof leaks are? And then who am I submitting this to? So having a point of contact to go to, let's just say the manager isn't there. Who does the staff go to? And, who are they going to contact when this happens? So that way they find the solution to their problem. So I think having a contact list is a big one.
Awesome. Absolutely. That's very, very important. Eileen, do you have any other tips?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think in that contact list, I mean, it should be in your emergency kit. You know what I'm saying? It should actually be it could be a box, it could be a binder, it could be whatever. That emergency kit needs to have everything that you could possibly need. Your contact list, flashlights, games, pens, an extra cell phone. I mean, anything that you could, incident reports, and copies, and anything that would make it easy for the person to know what they're going to do next. And when something happens like that, you should have a team member that is going to step up, even if that's not their normal job. If they're that calm person that can get things done in a moment like this, then they need to step up, and they need to kind of take charge and get things down. And here's this, because if your point of sale goes out, or your Wi-Fi goes out, and you can't make credit card processing or whatever, you can always form a cash line. You can always automatically get your hotspot out and type the number, use your virtual terminal, but somebody has to be able to take charge to make this happen. You know what I'm saying? And then, like Danielle said, if you've always got bounce backs ready, why not just let the people in and let them go ahead, and then they can pay when they come out. You just got to kind of think outside the box and make sure that that everyone's happy, you know what I'm saying, and moving, and just move forward.
Absolutely. And speaking of incident reports, what was your protocol for that? Did you all have a specific report template that you used, or how did you train your staff to follow through with that process? Danielle?
Yeah, so incident reports obviously is a big thing in the trampoline world. So it happens, if not every day, almost every day. So we would have just trainings with our staff at least once a month. So every single month we would do mock trainings being the whole staff's up there jumping around on a trampoline. We don't know who I assigned to go over there and get hurt, and just to see them run through the entire process. So once that person is identified as injured, the person that's supposed to be monitoring the court goes over there, checks on them. Are you okay? They're like, no, I'm not okay. So then they're like, hey, I need somebody to go get somebody from the front desk, and kind of assigns a specific person. That way people are not like, oh, he's talking to me. It's like, hey, you go get that person. I need them here. And so that person being a supervisor gets over there, assesses the situation. And the big thing to teach the staff was, hey, don't touch this injured person. Don't talk about their waiver. Don't talk about anything other than, hey, I'm getting you help. It's coming. Just hold on 1 second. Don't look at them like as if their knee has popped out of place and you're disgusted. You're just going to worry them even more. But just remain calm. Get the person over that's going to help them. Once your supervisor or your manager's over there, they can assess, okay, does 911 need to be called? Can they get off on their own? I'm not going to touch them. Everybody needs to move away from them. Obviously, people on trampolines, get off the same trampoline. You need to go. So we had incident reports ready. They were pre-printed. We had a stack this big. We knew where to find them. And we were ready to handle that when it came about. So especially, like I said, in that trampoline industry, at the soft play industry, same thing. We still had the same protocols. It was just a little bit easier because the parents were always there. They didn't drop off those teenagers. So usually the adult would come and alert us. They would be taking care of their own child, and then we would make the call to call 911, things like that. But we were still prepared, ready to go with the incident reports. We always filled them out. We didn't ask them to fill them out, things like that.
And Danielle, I'm sure that you probably instructed, or at least I did for my team, is to, if the customer, once they fall, if they say, oh my gosh, I saw that, I shouldn't have slipped on that water, or oh gosh, I'm hurt, I shouldn't have went down the slide or the trampoline that way. You would write that down, you would note it, because, because anything that you can do to protect yourself. I mean, you definitely don't want to say, oh my gosh, yeah, we had somebody do that yesterday and and the same problem. I mean, you don't want it, you want to be helpful, but you want to just get all the facts.
Exactly. No, 100%. And never admit to anything like, or
Right.
take the blame of it. Never say, oh, I'm so sorry. I can't believe that this happened to you, but I'm so sorry you're not feeling well, or that hurt you, but don't ever take the blame of it, the brunt of it.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
Just
Well,
sort of stay in control and manage the situation.
yeah, absolutely. Well, we had trained our staff, and we had signage. I mean, if you have signage everywhere, and then also you can do recordings that give rules too. But we had these signage, and there was this huge slide, and this mom, she just totally ignored it. She put her 2-year-old in her lap to go down the slide, even though the staff told her not to. And the sign said, do not do that. Well, heaven, first slide down, the 2-year-old's legs broke because it went under her as she slid down. I mean, and so of course then, then you have all the incidents reports and stuff like that. But I mean, if most people would follow your rules, it would work out better. But to be prepared and know where your incident reports are and who you're going to call and when you're going to call someone, it's just a really good way to have a plan. Now, I mean, you can have all that printed in a notebook, or you can have it in a playbook. We here at Party Center Software have a playbook, so anytime anything happens, we know we can go and get step by step.
Absolutely. And it's all digital as well. So you can access
Yeah.
it from the computer, from the phone. So there's definitely certain things in that emergency kit that are physical, right? An extra phone
Yes.
with a hotspot, maybe an extra, flashlight or things like this. But there's definitely some of this documentation that can just live in a digital sort of place that anybody can access if they need it. I do have one more question for you all. Before putting together an incident reporting plan or any sort of emergency plan, especially in the trampoline world, we know that insurance providers that specialize in helping FECs that have these sort of features in their facility are really great resources. So, did either of you ladies ever reach out to your insurance provider and try to figure out if there's something specific that you need to put into your waiver, for instance, or any sort of other additional preparation that you would recommend FEC owners take into consideration?
Yeah, definitely. If you can get, your insurance provider to help you with some language, or your attorney, to help you with some language so that you're not held as liable. I mean, that's wonderful. And as long as they're familiar with the industry, sometimes the insurance agent that's got your house insurance is not necessarily the same insurance agent that's going to be able to know all the ins and outs of the family entertainment center. So you got to be careful. But I'm sure Danielle dealt with that too.
yes. And I would say, I mean, any person that you're buying equipment from, whether it be that mechanical bull, it be that, the harness set, just make sure you check with them too. They're experts in what they're doing. They're selling it to you. They're going to make sure that you're set up for success. Just look and see if you need any certifications on it. Look and see if you have any warranty information on it. They should provide you, guides, training manuals, and you should be able to provide that to, your insurance company, your lawyer, or your employees. So.
Absolutely. So, speaking of transferring that information to employees, tell us a little bit about how you would train employees. So, I know, Danielle, you mentioned, of course, that you had the mock training, but you also mentioned when we were planning the webinar that you did something super cool, which is TikTok video training. So, tell us a little bit about how you came up with that idea and what you ended up doing.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was during COVID. We all had a lot of time on our hands. So we're like, why not perfect some of this training stuff? Or why not try to relate to the kids that we're managing? Because all they want to do is be on their phone, be on TikTok. So it's just like, okay, you know what, Susie, I need you to go, and this is what I want you to do. You are an awesome coffee maker, and I want you to go over there and I want you to make a TikTok of you making that vanilla latte the way you do. Like, it's awesome. And so it gave them something to do. And it's like, oh, I love doing this. At the same time, it's teaching others to do it. So they responded really well with the videos, and it was very quick and instant. So if they wanted to rewatch it, they could. But we had a lot of success with the TikTok videos. Also, I mean, during the COVID training too, I mean, protocols for the front desk. What are we doing? We're taking temperatures. What are we doing? We're putting wristbands on, but we're not touching them. So we're taking off the back, we're handing it to them, you know, or how do we take payments during COVID if we want it to be contactless? So we made a lot of cool TikTok videos for sure. Safety stuff. We had a cafe, so health inspection stuff. I mean, it was really cool.
That's awesome. And Eileen, how did you train your staff?
Well, what I was a little more back before COVID. I was in 2007 to 2015, so I didn't have to deal with that part of it. But what I would always do is we would do triathlons. So like any, you know, like if I needed them to set up a party room a certain way, and I needed them to set up clean their birthday party rooms, and all the attractions that we had, and when we were doing these triathlons, you know, so like we would like go and bowl a certain way, and you know, and we had really fun ways that we'd bowl backwards, and we'd do this, and we had all these different games that we would do in the bowling alley. Then we would come from there to the inflatables, and we'd do something there. And so each part of the area we were training and having fun and doing a competition, and everybody was getting points. And so, and then like on any typical Saturday, you know, to enforce the training, I would have them send me a video or a picture from their phone of how they set their party room up, and whoever had the best party room set up got to win a prize. And so I would trade like gift cards for different places, and then they'd have a choice. They could have any day off that they wanted, whoever won, or they could have a gift card, or they could have Miss Eileen mop their birthday party rooms. So I got to clean a lot with them. But it was a lot of fun though, you know, and you know, and you know, I mean, and I think I was at a casino one time, and I had this one lady come up to me and with her mom, and she come up and thanked me for helping her get into the industry. She was in corporate events, and she said that she set up her corporate table with, you know, no legs showing. I mean, good Lord Almighty, if you want to have Eileen to have a fit, have some legs showing on the on the party table. So she knew exactly how we did that, and you know, and it almost made me cry, because I was like, it was years later, you know, and she come up to thank me with her mom, and I was just like, you know, who knew, having little contests and you know, and actually showing them how to do it, you know, and I guess you walk the walk, you know, but it was great. I mean, training was always fun. You can't just train somebody one time. It's got to be ongoing, you know. So we would have little huddles every morning, talking about what's getting ready to happen. And then I would also try to have a huddle at the end of the day so that we could recoup and say, next week, you know, how could we prevent this? You know, when do you think you know, what could we have done? You know, not why didn't we do it, but how are we going to, you know, correct it for the next time so that it's smooth for everybody. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was going to ask too, especially in the context of emergencies and things that happen that we don't expect to happen. Would you both do debriefs after, especially after a major incident? And what would that look like? Because sometimes, especially depending on the emergency, staff might be a little shaken up. It might be hard to return back to work, right? If something happened in the middle of the day. How would you two manage that if it happened to you, Danielle?
Yeah, so like Eileen said, we always had our huddles in the morning, and then whenever there was a shift change, we would talk with the morning shift and then the night shift coming in. And then at the very end of the night, we would have like a closing meeting before everyone left. So if something, happened and it was in the middle of the day, and let's just say it was the night shift, if they were struggling with it right then and there, we'd pull them to the side, have somebody replace them, and we would talk to them, see what's going on, where's your head at, and just kind of calm them down a little bit. But if it was something that could wait, we talked to everybody at the end of the night, just got their feedback on, what happened, if they thought it flowed well, if it didn't flow well, what can we do better next time? So we always closed out the day like that, which was good because it gave them a chance to talk to us when we didn't know anything that was happening. Hey, did anything happen today that we need to know about? Or, did anybody say anything today? Like, what were the customers' reactions? We wanted their feedback too, because they were up there with them. They knew what was happening. Sometimes they'd tell us the craziest stories, and I'm like, that's what happened today. So I'm like, okay, well, that's good to know. Thank you for sharing, So it was cool to get their reactions and their stories, and just to see where our customers' heads were at too, because a lot of them were really positive stories, and, loved that the staff played with their kid or this and that. And, it was really cool to pick their brains. So.
Absolutely. And Eileen, what would those debriefs look like for you?
Well, I mean, pretty much like what Danielle said. I mean, when you're debriefing, I mean, you're just doing kind of a round robin to make sure that, that you've got everybody's take on it. Because sometimes when you're a manager and you're looking at it from from a different, not right there in the party room or whatever, it looks different. So it's always good to listen to your staff's take on everything, because then maybe they've got a suggestion where it won't happen again. So so if you're just taking all their opinions and move it and moving forward, then it helps everybody. But I think too, sometimes the during a party, during all parties, when you're doing 30 parties, what I'm saying, it gets really kind of hectic. So we always had a policy that if you absolutely needed a break, you would come and get the manager and go, because you need to be smiling, and you need to be on your you need to be there. So if you need 5 minutes, we would carve out 5 minutes for you to take a break.
Yeah, that's very important. So, ladies, this kind of brings us to the same sort of path that we've been on, but I'm just curious because Eileen, whenever we talk about this, you're always queen of common sense, right? When it comes to emergency planning, you're always talking about how important it is to just be generally aware of what is going on in the facility. And of course, getting that feedback from your team is the best way to do that. But what are some other tips on how you all approached situations, really thought outside of the box, and how do you even train for that? Because sometimes when you're working with teens that are just getting into the industry or looking for a summer job, it's really hard to train for, hey, watch out for body language, right? Think through this, take note of this, spot red flags, stuff like that. So what would you all do to train for that, I suppose, and also keep tabs on what's going on at all times in your facility? So Danielle, why don't you take the first part of that?
Yeah, no problems. I mean, it's hard to keep tabs on everything, but if you're walking around, you're engaged with your staff, you are monitoring what's going on around you, you have a good understanding of what actually is happening. So, I mean, if you catch an employee doing something they shouldn't be doing, it's never like, hey, don't do that. It's like, go up there and talk to them, say, how's your day going? And talk to them for a little bit, see what they say, and just say, hey, I saw this happen a minute ago. What do you think about it? And really make them think about their actions and repeat it back to you, right? It's never like a slap on the wrist or, a slap on the hand. It's just like, hey, I'm here to help you. I saw it and I'm always looking, but let's just make sure we're doing the right thing when nobody's looking, right? So I think, and having supervisors helped a lot. I mean, we had multiple supervisors, and let's just say we had a party supervisor, we had a court supervisor, a cashier supervisor, and a cafe supervisor. I mean, they were always watching their own stations, and they were aware of what was going on. So I really trusted them a lot to take care of their areas. And when I needed something, I would originally go to them, and then they would report to the staff. But you know, it's just all about communication, watching your surroundings, not being huddled up in the office on a Saturday. You really need to be out there with your team. So
Absolutely. Eileen, what would you do?
Yeah, absolutely. Danielle's correct. I mean, you can't be huddled up in the back. You have to be using all your senses. I mean, if somebody's if somebody's body language, if they've got their arms crossed, if they look mad, if they look unhappy, if if the birthday child's off by himself and all the whole entire birthday party's not playing with him, you have to do something immediately. So you have to be watching, you know. There was this one incident. It was, I mean, well, there's so many, but I got this one that comes to mind. He thought he was going to have 10 people. He ended up having, I think, maybe one, and that one person still wasn't like, you know, doing anything with him. Well, obviously we did not charge for the whole party because there was only one kid and it was horrible. But I gave my staff the opportunity to be his guest because it was, you know what I'm saying? Because so it taught that, you know, that we can give these incredible moments, even if we have to, and we should be a part of it. So, you know, that was one of the things too that I would do is when we would have meetings, I would have the staff tell me what their best party was and send me a picture. And I had these bulletin boards with them in their best moments of their best party ever. And I said, that's what we have control over. That's what we're creating. And, you know, so it made them feel a part of it, you know what I'm saying? You know, so when you're a part of it, you have to be in the room, you have to be aware. And if someone looks sad or someone looks mad, we need to try to figure out why, and let's fix it right then and there. Because then, you know, they don't go home and tell 20 other people and then or do a chargeback or all kinds. It can go downhill. So just if you see it, or if the, you know, if you walk in the room and for some reason the party room was not cleaned well enough and you can smell it, you got to address things immediately so that it goes smoother.
Absolutely. And you know, one thing in our industry that is getting a little bit more popular now is AI and machines, you know, taking some of the work away from, you know, the maybe not the party host, but with serving food. You know, you can have a robot just drive all the way up to the bowling alley, to wherever there's the customer's
Yeah.
sitting, and serve them their food and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you know, that might be cool. However, we're really in a people centered business. So
Yeah.
having that amazing party host and your staff make that child's day because none of his guests were able to arrive, that's priceless. And that's something that you have to train them to kind of recognize right then and there, as you said.
Right.
And it's really special. And that can make or break your business, your ability to just kind of get creative when you need to and think outside of the box. And same in the context of an emergency or any
Right.
sort of unexpected event. That old school game can be 10 times more fun than if they were playing in the arcade, right?
Right. Yeah.
No, so
Right. And it saved their party. You know what I'm saying? They didn't have to leave. They didn't feel rushed. They, you know, they felt like it was part of the whole plan, you know. But one thing too that and I'm sure Danielle did the same thing, is I always gave my staff in when training them, I gave them the ability to make the decisions. I told them what I wanted. I gave them the ability to make the decision. So if somebody was not winning a lot of tickets over in the arcade, they always had these arcade cards available that they could use to make special moments. Let's win some tickets, you know, let's swipe this. And this was decisions that they made on their own. And, you know, and one thing too, what was part of my training was when you're talking to someone, to a child, you know, and if, you know, try to get their nickname, try to make it real personal, get on your knee, get eye level, Don't talk over them because you're so much taller than them. And so, with being able to train them to do this, then they got the benefits of doing it because the child responded, the mom responded, the whole party responded, and then it just spreads, because a party done well and a staff trained well is a walking billboard. It's advertisement for the next party, and you can't. It's hard to buy that.
Absolutely. Well said, Eileen. That's the number one thing that we're trying to teach here. So ladies, there's an emergency that we come across here and there, and that's chargebacks. And it's not the funnest topic in the world, but since we are talking about staff training and noticing things that like body language and red flags, it only makes sense for us to also talk a little bit about handling chargebacks. So what are some of your top tips for dealing with those sorts of situations? Danielle, you can take the first part of this one.
Sure. I think documenting everything, every interaction, having a contact list with this person, put things through email. Don't just do it through the phone. If you're communicating over the phone, that's great. I'm glad that you're getting those details with this person, but you should also be putting everything into an email too. Take signed receipts, get copies of IDs once they get there. There's so many things you could do. And I'd say a big red flag to watch for is check and make sure the name on their card matches their actual booked party. I would say, hey, we do need to match the actual person that's booking the party, whether that's grandma or whoever, or, like I said, have them come to the facility, pay in person, put an ID with their order. But just being aware, watch what's going on. If somebody wasn't, they weren't happy with the birthday party, let's figure out why. Try to control that and handle that the day of the party and get it fixed then. You don't want it to be, settled and then they go back and charge it back later. So just make sure, like I said, even if they were unhappy, you're communicating that, you're sending them emails about everything, you're documenting that in your system. Communication goes a long way, and creating that log goes a long way too. But also, I know Eileen will say this is fix it before it's done. You get it done there and try to work it out with your customer before they go to their bank or they go to their credit card company. Try to work it out with them first.
Absolutely. Eileen, do you have any specific tips here?
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with Danielle for sure. I mean, one of the things too, though, is I know in this industry that aunts and uncles and grandmas and everybody likes to help participate, with the party. And, if you're going to allow that, then and have different credit cards, more than for the deposit and for the payment, and then different than the actual person that's booking the party, then I would take it a step further and have them sign an agreement that the charge can be made on this card, that you agree to this credit card transaction. And it's a simple form. I mean, easy to get. And and if they're coming in to, for the party anyway, they're going to be there. So I would have them sign it so that they know that when they go back, they can't charge it back, so because they got 120 days to charge it back. So, and read their body language. I mean, make sure that when you're talking with them, that your staff is asking and that they, and that you're addressing any issues. I know some people are super, super difficult to make happy, but as long as you attempt and they're getting what they were told they were getting, and you're making an attempt and you have it in the contact log and you've got all documentation of it, you have a better chance of winning the chargeback. But I would say, let's try to make them happy to begin with, find out, what, I mean, I think one of my parties I had to, all the parents ate all the food and they were mad. Well, obviously I didn't do that, right? But I said, okay, look, you all buy a pizza, I'll give you a pizza, and they were perfectly content with that, and they moved on. So you just got to kind of find the common ground so that they know that you want their business and and you're creating those memories for them.
Absolutely. Well, ladies, thank you guys so much for answering all of my many questions and filling in the gaps. If anybody on the call has any questions, please chime in. This is your time. You can put your questions in the Q&A feature or in the chat, whichever one works for you. I do actually have one last kind of fun question that I've been trying to ask any one of our webinar guests, which is, what is your top recommendation for new facility owners, people that are brand new to the industry? What is like one piece of advice, if you could choose anyone, because I know there's many pieces of advice, but if you could choose one, which one would it be, Danielle?
Yeah, I would say just be prepared for anything. Walking into an FEC, it's going to be something new every single day. So never stop learning. And, your staff really, they look up to you and they learn from you. So put out that, what you want them to see. So stay cool, stay collected, but really just try to be prepared for anything, even if it throws you a curveball.
For sure. Eileen?
Yeah, I think the best advice that I could give is use all your senses. I mean, like when you think about when you go to a place to have fun, what do you want? Do you want a clean, fun, nice smelling? I mean, you know what I'm saying? I know that sounds kind of silly, but use all your five senses and take a really hard look at what people are seeing as soon as they come in and how they feel when they leave your facility. Because your website may have all the branding and everything on it, but when they get there, maybe they're not getting what is portrayed on that website. So just kind of be true and keep your eyes open. You know what I'm saying? I know it's your dream and you've worked really hard on it, but just stay true to yourself and stay open-minded and use all your senses to make sure that you're creating those incredible experiences.
Absolutely. That's a great note to wrap up this webinar on, Eileen and Danielle. So if anybody has any more questions, please pop them in the chat for us or in the Q&A feature. But I'm going to go ahead and slowly close us out. So speaking of customer service and just customer success in general, we redesigned an older resource that we had, No Unhappy Customers. We put in a couple new pieces of advice in here, 6 ways to prevent or diffuse customer conflict. And of course, we also have our emergency planning resource and a couple blogs on that. So I'll go ahead and pop this as well as that into the email, the follow-up email, so you'll get the recording, you'll get this resource, you'll also get our emergency planning resource and a couple other cool blogs and resources and other things. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you have any feedback or have any topics you'd like us to discuss, please be sure to email marketing@partycentersoftware.com. This podcast is a weekly podcast, so you can expect new episodes every Thursday. Party Center Speaks is powered by Party Center Software. We are a facility management tool that helps family entertainment centers and event venues book more parties and manage their facilities. We also offer marketing services such as custom website design and marketing automations to help you expand your reach and grow traffic. If you'd like to know more about us, head over to partycentersoftware.com and be sure to give us a follow at Party Center Software on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn, TikTok, and at Party Center Soft on Twitter. Until next time, thanks for listening.